Welcome back to another video everyone. So about a year and a half ago, I started off my Crash review series with Crash of the Titans, and ever since then I've had quite a few comments saying that I should check out the DS version of the game. I didn't know this until recently, but it turns out the game is completely different to the console version. Of course I knew it'd be slightly downgraded, but I didn't think it'd be a totally different game. To the point where I'd say it's not even a downgrade to the console version, I think it does a good job of being its own thing. Now for anyone that hasn't seen my review for the console version of Crash of the Titans, I actually thought it was a pretty good game. I quite liked it. I know, it's not the most beloved game in the series. You can stop booing me now. I liked it overall. I did have a few problems with it, like the areas where you have to repeatedly kill the same titans. They just continuously spawn until you kill enough of them to open up the next area. It's a bit boring and it feels like they just did that to make the level a bit longer, but all in all I had fun revisiting it. That being said, let's see whether or not Crash of the Titans for the DS is any good. We're off to a brilliant start. The story begins a lot like Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. Crash is sleeping and Aku Aku interrupts him. Aku Aku tells Crash that Cortex is back at it again doing something evil. Did not see that coming. This time he's using the power of the mojo from tiki masks across the island to turn normal creatures into monsters. He also kidnapped Aku Aku. Aku Aku interrupted Crash in his dream. He wasn't actually there.
Oh brother, not another tutorial. You better pay attention.
Yeah, there's actually a laugh track in this game for some reason.
My giant robot is an excellent dancer. Everyone will bow before its dance of power.
I don't want it.
I have no idea why. The beginning tutorial level takes place on Mount Wumpa. I found it weird how Cortex is the one giving us the tutorial, like he's literally telling us how we can defeat him. Does he ever wonder why his plans never work out? Because this might be one of the reasons. When we catch up to him, he tells his minions to attack Crash while he makes a grand escape. Except he doesn't, he just stands there watching us defeat the minions. Then we have to go up against the first Titan, and in this version all the Titans are completely different. There's some similarities here and there, like how the Armadillo can roll around like the Rhino Roller, and the Phoenix can walk in lava like the Magmadon. But as far as the designs and the names go, they're all different. Also I find it funny how this cutscene activated while this Titan was standing in between us. Yeah, I'll let you finish before murdering you. Cortex makes an escape and now we have to go to each island and collect all of the mojo before him. Each island is basically a hub world. They have 2 to 3 levels in each one. Now the gameplay itself is almost a mix between the newer and the classic Crash games. The box counter makes a return here. It was absent in the console version and pretty much every other Crash game after the Wrath of Cortex. There's also a well-hidden power crystal to find in each level.
Well-hidden crystal.
Usually they're not actually that difficult to find, but some of them did get me. I missed the crystal in Engine's factory twice because it's so easy to walk straight past it. Bonus stages make a return too, and even the Crash dance is here. There's a lot of classic Crash in this version of the game. Of course it doesn't fully feel like a classic Crash game because you've still got the Titans, the minions, the lack of spinning, but I feel like the people that don't like Titans because it's nothing like the originals would have a much better time on this version of the game than the console version. On top of the crystal that you have to look out for, there's also masks that you can find in each level and a mojo counter which earns you a gem if you fill it up by the end. So yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff to collect while you're going through these levels. Another interesting feature with this game is that there's 2 separate modes for each level. You've got the regular playthrough mode, which is exactly how it sounds, it's just a normal playthrough of the level, but then you've got the bottom option which is the event levels. The event is different depending on the level, but in some of them you'll be riding a mutant avoiding hazards while trying to collect tiki masks. In others you'll be rail grinding doing pretty much the same thing, and you'll earn a gem for completing these levels too. I didn't think these levels were anything too special, but they're pretty cool for what they are. Just little bonus levels to switch things up every now and then, because the base levels, while there's not many of them, they are pretty long. Maybe a bit too long. They do feel like they're dragging on towards the end. At least these minigames do a decent job at switching things up. After you earn the first 3 crystals, you can go up against the first boss. Now if you've seen my review, you'll know that I really dislike the bosses in Crash of the Titans. They're just plain shit. For the most part, you weren't actually fighting the bosses, you were just fighting titans that they'd spawn in. Which is no different to the rest of the game. You've already been doing this and you're going to continue doing it. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. You also have to hit the targets in some of them. Yeah, this is still shit. So are the bosses any better on the DS? Well, one of them is Dingodile, so instantly that does make it a little bit better. Putting Dingodile in your Crash game is always a good move.
Do what you can to slow down Crash Bandicoot. Alright, let's get...
Alright, it wasn't that funny, mate. It's quite an easy fight. He just stands in one spot and you have to dodge his shots and then attack him, and then he'll run off to another location. just to go and do the exact same thing. He runs off twice to a different place, so I thought it was going to be a phase 2 and a phase 3, but no, it's the same thing. Wasn't anything crazy, but this was still a better boss battle than the majority of boss battles in the console version. During the boss fight cutscene, Cortex tells the other characters to do some work for him. He tells Nina to mutate animals around the islands, and before we move on to the next island, we actually get to play as Nina and do what Cortex told us to do. It's not much, you just walk down the level and shoot 20 to 30 animals, but it gives you an alternate look at the level. You get to see why the mutants are there in the first place, since you technically put them there before as Nina. Maybe this was the inspiration for the alternate timeline levels in Crash 4. I'm on to you, Toys for Bob. Now when you're moving around the map, you have to draw a line from the island that you're on to the island that you're traveling to. Then Crash will follow the line that you drew. If you're wondering, yeah, he will travel across any line that you draw, so don't even bother doing this because it will take half an hour for him to travel across a line. You might have a few questions about the dancing robot over there. This is the reason Cortex is using the mutants to harvest all of the island's mojo to power this thing. It's just, it dances 24/7 and he wants to conquer the world or something. I don't know, just Cortex stuff. The next island has some pretty cool levels in it. Engine's Factory and Insanity Jungle. Yeah, they're just sticking with the basic level names in this version. Unfortunately, those areas where you're forced to fight waves of enemies before you can move on are present on the DS as well. I found them boring on the Xbox and I find them boring here too. They're okay every now and then, but they happen way too often. Now the second boss fight is with Engine. Nina is briefly seen trying to convince him to join her side because she's sick of being a henchman and wants to take over. The boss battle itself is so much better than it is on the Xbox and the PS2. In that you had to shoot 3 targets on the wall that he was standing on. It was pathetic. In this you have to dodge his rockets and then deal damage with a Titan. Not much to say about the next 2 levels. They take place on Entrapment Island, but they're all more or less the same when it comes to what you have to do. One has a bonus stage I really like though, and the other is Tiny's Excavation, which is similar to the console level. But then we get to Tiny Tiger and somehow they made him worse. If you thought this was bad...
Crash, I really am cross with you. I'm just trying to do my job, and you go and cause all this chaos. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to eat your face.
Then just take a look at this.
Crash! You made it through my excavation! Did it pump you up? I'm pumped! That girl came by. She didn't want to work out. I'm not sure what she wanted, but she messed up my groove. Since you're here now, we're gonna play Smash the Bandicoot!
All of a sudden this doesn't seem too bad. At least you can actually fight him this time, as opposed to fighting Titans and then going on a 5-minute walk with a Shellephant. You can defeat Tiny in about 10 seconds, but we're 3 for 3 here. Cortex's Lair is a pretty fun level overall, but unfortunately it has the most areas where you're forced to kill enemies before progressing. After that level, Nina tells Cortex that he's too soft and that his dancing robot idea isn't evil enough, and for that reason, she's taking over. Then he escapes to the Cortex spot and takes absolutely no fall damage. Nina now wants to kill Crash because why not? So in this boss fight you have to dodge her lasers and take control over her like you would a mutant. When you do that you have to shoot the mutants and turn them back into animals, and that's how you defeat her for now. Both of them proceed to catch up with Cortex, and the last level starts off with Crash and transitions into a Nina section. You're just doing the same thing though, mutating animals. We catch up with Cortex and agree to team up just to defeat him. After that she plans on getting rid of Crash once and for all. It takes Crash a few seconds to realise.
First we'll defeat you, then I'll defeat Crash myself.
Ha
But oh wait, plot twist. Nina tells Crash to grab Cortex so she could shoot him, but actually shoots Crash instead. He deflects it back and it hits Nina. Congratulations, learn how to dodge. With Nina out the picture, we just have to take care of Cortex. I had no idea what the hell I was doing in this boss fight, so I just continuously attacked while standing directly in front of him, hoping it'd work. Don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but it worked out eventually. His crab robot thing then explodes and sends him flying out of the Cortex bot.
My Cortex bot will boogie no more.
That wasn't even a joke, that was just a man that lost everything he'd been working on. Coco can't believe the events that happened during the adventure, and at the end they both wonder what happened to Nina. If you 100% the game, you get a different ending where Nina shoots Crash and turns him into a baby, and she's the one who defeats Cortex instead. So that was Crash of the Titans DS. Do I prefer it over the console version? I'm gonna say no, but I can absolutely see why people might prefer the DS version of the game. A lot of people don't like Titans because it's nothing like what Crash used to be, so those people might enjoy this a bit more because, yeah, even though it's still Titans, clearly, it does have some returning features like collecting all the crates and bonus levels. It includes different characters, lets you play as Nina, which is pretty cool, and I prefer some of the bosses in the DS Titans as well. It was better than I thought it would be going into this. Now Titans was also released on the Game Boy. I don't know how different that version is, but maybe I could check that out as well. I think it got released on the PSP and mobile phones as well. There's too much Crash of the Titans out there for me to handle. With that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you all in my next video.